In the following, you're going to get a special glimpse into the lives of the people of Guatemala. This diverse landscape has been filled with both tragedy and triumph. Our reporters were embedded in the area of Chocola, a volcanic region, and they found some very powerful stories to share with you. Our first correspondent, Abraham Williams, is going to give you a lens into the heart of a man who works for the greater good of his people.
Chocola, Guatemala. It's a rural agricultural community with villages connected by rocky dirt roads and hand-made paver stones. It's a place unknown to a lot of people, even in Guatemala. A forgotten village that disappears like a speck on a map, and it's where Dr. Sergio Castillo chose to practice medicine.
Chocola es una región eminentemente con las plantaciones de café y rodeadas de las comunidades más apartadas en el país, más alejadas de los servicios básicos, más alejadas de la educación, de la salud, de los accesos, del desarrollo, y a veces hasta la esperanza les queda lejos.
18 years ago, he sold everything he owned except for some clothes and a couple of cars. He left his practice in the city and took his family into Chocola to help the people that have a dire need for medicine. Dr. Castillo has built a hospital, 2 permanent clinics, 3 mobile clinics, and over the years has gained the trust of some of the most isolated Mayan communities in the mountains.
Doctor, ya bien uts, iskisik, sí, ya colicle guapa quina, ya 40 legua.
He works to serve the people. Businessman and entrepreneur Guido Martinez has seen the effects Dr. Castillo has on the lives of his employees, their families, and the entire community.
No tanto mis empleados, sino el beneficio es tanto para ellos como para sus hijos y sus esposas. O sea que esto encadena un beneficio total.
Dr. Castillo dedicates a lot of his time to provide health care. He works with officials in the city to bring potable water to people. He's at one of the 2 clinics on weekends or by appointment. He runs the hospital. I asked him, how does he meet a balance between work and family?
Es uno de los retos más grandes que enfrentamos. Nos ayuda mucho que como familia tenemos definido que la prioridad es el hospital, porque de esa manera podemos ayudar a más gente que realmente lo necesita.
His decision nearly 20 years ago has become a family business and has had a great impact on Melissa, one of Castillo's 4 daughters. She wishes to follow in her father's footsteps and has plans to go to medical school. She can remember being involved at 7 years old, gaining experience and growing in this environment, helping her father provide health care.
Cuando era pequeña iba atrás de ellos al encamamiento, entonces ayudaba a la gente a tomar su medicina o a levantarse, ir al baño, pero ya poco a poco fui aprendiendo cómo hacer suturas, cómo atender emergencias, cómo ayudar a la gente del postoperatorio, trabajar en la farmacia.
Dr. Castillo's medical consultations are $2.50, and surgeries cost as little as $62. He provides these services for people that sometimes can't even afford those prices, and with the Mayan culture that would trade chickens, raccoons, and bananas to show their gratitude. There are economic challenges that his medical facilities constantly have to work through. They are challenges that I thought to myself, is the financial risk worth the man putting his family through, knowing that as a doctor, he can make a more stable life for his wife and children? Dr. Castillo has strong convictions in the Jesuit order, and he explained his view on the differences between risk and faith.
Pero lo sientes en el corazón y tu fe está puesta en Jesús y encaminas todas esas acciones y pasos y procesos con la seguridad que lo vas a conseguir. Mientras que si se ve sin ese concepto de cristianismo con números fríos, se ve como algo riesgoso y temerario.
There's a little bit of downtime when the rain is hard and the electricity goes out, and he and his family will get together and sometimes read. One time.
Y leímos ahí un administrador famoso de la Universidad de Chicago que su consejo era que un buen administrador siempre debería tener el 50% de cerebro y el 50% de corazón. Yo creo que perdí el cerebro hace mucho tiempo y me ha crecido el corazón. Y en eso Dios nos ha dado la gracia de poder caminar así.
He has followed his heart into Chocola. He has helped countless numbers of people and their families in health and education. People who have to work back-breaking jobs now have the option to seek medical care. There's a chance of drinkable tap water in the future. And maybe Dr. Castillo has brought the people in the villages of Chocola a little closer to hope.
Guatemalans are hardworking people, and this next selection is going to get to the heart of their entrepreneurial spirit. Here's Shayna Vidal.
Before arriving in Guatemala, we had read about the poverty, the suffering, and the hardships of the people. But what we found was a proud and vibrant community that wasn't afraid to roll up its sleeves to overcome. These are their stories. Everyone gets into business for their own reasons. Some for survival, other times it's a hobby, and sometimes it's all about the opportunity.
Muy buenos días.
Meet Susana Castro. She works here at this medical clinic run by her friend Dr. Sergio Castillo. But Castro is not a doctor. She works here for a different reason. 6 years ago, Dr. Castillo noticed that patients had no chance to eat when they were waiting at the clinic. And that was Castro's opportunity. She began what Castillo refers to as her small, tropical McDonald's. Across the street, this mother of 5 starts her mornings in her kitchen.
A las 3 de la mañana. Empezamos a arreglar el pollo y empezamos a dorar, o si se hace chile, entonces preparamos la verdura.
Since the age of 12, she's known how to cook, but she never anticipated it would bring her success. And despite any struggles she may have, like having to ration water, her food business has allowed her to obtain things that she could not have before, like this refrigerator she bought after her first year of selling food. Her business has made it possible for the patients to eat while they wait, and at a reasonable price. The customers get the tortilla, chicken, and bean combo she sells for 2 quetzales less than the common food vendor here in Chocola.
Está bien, está bien.
Now, at a steady point in her career, Castro sees how far she has come. And Dr. Castillo sees it too.
La economía siempre es muy precaria y tratamos de hacer una especie de programa piloto con ella de que sirva de ejemplo para el resto de familias, de que puede hacer las cosas, de que hay que buscar las maneras y que a veces lo que miramos como problemas son nada más oportunidades que tenemos que descubrir. Y ella ha descubierto ese camino y esperamos que pueda ser ejemplo para otras personas.
You've probably heard the phrase, if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for life. Our next story illustrates that theme perfectly. Let's go check it out. When thinking about Guatemala, we usually don't think of bamboo. Well, this home that has been expanded inside and out with bamboo is also the work site of Mabu Bamboo, an international business. But it all starts a little more than 2 kilometers down the road. After the Guatemalan government dispersed the land to its people, Vitelio Humberto had a decision: to plant coffee again or try something new. On this 20 cuerdas of land, also known as 20 acres, Humberto has grown this forest of bamboo that now, 15 years later, reaches to the sky. With the help of workshops taught by a mission group from China, this man found his passion and the art of a skill that has taken him up the road to entrepreneurialism. Back at his home, Humberto and his 6 employees work with special tools. They transform this giant plant into furniture and household items that stay strong for over 50 years. From being a coffee plantation worker, the transition of work was not easy. In order to start, he had to get a loan from an agency. After paying it all back in the first year, Mabu Bamboo began profiting more, allowing them to purchase more tools.
Pues la verdad, trabajar en el bambú para mí ha sido de gran beneficio, porque a través del bambú, gracias a Dios, yo he tratado, gracias a Dios, logré sacar avante a cada uno de mis hijos, porque todos ellos pues estudiaron, se graduaron y cada quien ya depende de sí mismo, de su trabajo.
Now, Humberto strives to help others and hopes to teach more in his community the skill so that more families can experience the benefit that he has brought to his family.
In television, we have something that we call B-roll. This is visuals that helps tell the story. Well, in this case, what we're going to show you is literally B-roll. Come with me. This is the workplace of thousands of bees. But they're not the only ones who work here. In their own backyard, this couple manages their very own bee yard. Roughly 30 years ago, Feliciano Vasquez lost his farming job. But that was the beginning of a new chapter for the family. Their first beehive box cost the equivalent to about $3 American.
La primera es solo compré. Solo lo compré. Me costó 25 quetzales. Y los 25 quetzales antes era dinero, pues. Era dinero. Entonces me costó juntar porque solo ganaba 90 centavos. Ajá. Me costó mucho. Tengo que aguantar hambre. No comprarme qué comer por el amor de esos animalitos.
But with hard work, Vasquez turned one box into 37 with his own two hands. And now they have a family-run business. Vasquez takes the honeycomb from the hives, and the children help to separate it.
Maria Masario, or as Vasquez calls her, the queen bee,
Pours the honey so it can be sold to the public. Today, they sell the honey by the quintal. That's 100 pounds. But unlike most businesses, their success depends on more than just technique and clientele. It also depends on nature. Sometimes, the bees don't produce enough honey to make profit. So they grow cacao, avocado, and bananas to sell, and oftentimes to eat when they have nothing else. Another challenge is other bugs. They are a continuous threat to the bees and must be closely managed.
Yo agradezco a Dios porque Él aprendió este trabajo. Con es comemos, con es vivimos, porque no hay dinero y no podemos comer. Ahora yo agradezco a Dios porque Él ya tiene su poco negocio, aunque no mucho, pero ahí estamos viviendo por la gracias a Dios.
With the loss of a job, the family was led to learn the art of a skill that helps them survive day by day. From Chocola, Guatemala, I'm Shayna Vidal.
One of the biggest obstacles Americans face when traveling to Guatemala is communication. Translators are like gold. And this next story, it digs deep. Here's Joey Finaguara.
I never talk with a doctor or with a nurse, nothing, just zero. Zero, like ignore about this word. Nada, nadita. Yeah.
Language, the method of human communication. Words carefully woven together to relay information and express emotions. And for a traveling medical team, the line of communication between a doctor and their patient must be interlaced perfectly. And in a foreign country where these lines are broken, another voice is needed. The voice of the translator.
Yeah, they're her children. And then when her grandchildren get up to 30.
Luis Rojas grew up in San Raimundo, Guatemala, a small town in the highlands northwest of Guatemala City. 7 years ago, he packed his bags and headed for Toronto, Canada, where he now lives and works as a full-time house painter. During a last-minute phone call from a friend, Luis was asked to translate for a team of American doctors and nurses on a relief trip to Chocola, a small village in Guatemala. The next day, he would trade in his paint roller for a used pair of scrubs and fly back to his home country, but this time as a medical translator.
I try to help translate the English to Spanish so the patient can understand what the doctor said. I think it's one of the best things I do in my life, help people in this way, and I never in my life I get like all this kind of information in just only 4 days. I feel like if I study like maybe 2-3 years, serious.
With no prior medical experience, Luis was forced to expand his mind and vocabulary during his time at the clinic. He worked alongside Dr. Scott Lawrence, an MD from Tyler, Texas.
He's an amazing person. He's incredible how much information he has in his mind. He's like expert, like amazing doctor.
Luis and Dr. Lawrence work from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., sometimes only taking 15 to 20-minute breaks in between. They see upwards of 65 cases a day, where many times their translations help the patients find more serious medical issues that they might not have seen before.
He draw with picture in the paper. With every patient, he draw me, he explain me all details, how it's working, how we can do, how we can fix it, how we cannot fix it. So this way I learned a lot, no?
Luis received over 100 hand-drawn pictures from Dr. Lawrence. Each one painted a simple story of the patient's medical history and current problems they were facing. After looking over the sketches, Luis would then have to deal with the most challenging part of the translating process.
I need to tell people they have cancer, and just I don't know how to say. We saw like 2 cases, like abuse, like sex abuse. First one we saw is she had 16 years old, so it's very hard. It's really hard. But I try to understand my patient and give you all my support and all the information.
In just 5 days, Luis was the voice that spoke to over 200 patients in the small clinic of Chocola. The information he was relaying meant tragedy and heartache for some. But in one particular case, he was able to deliver the message of life.
Well, I was on the medical when the nurse called me if I can translate something, and I saw that a lady, she was pregnant, no? And they asked me to translate and tell her like if she wanna know if it's a boy or girl, and when they be born. And I saw the face of the mother, so excited, so emotional, and said, yes, please tell me if it's a boy or no. And I start to sweat, like I made me so excited.
And doctors are the only ones that can
know
this information, right?
Yeah, so I never in my life was thinking one day I would do that. Like, how? I'm like a painter, you know?
Luis Rojas provided a doctor with the one vital tool missing from his practice. A voice. A voice that delivered the truth, the good and the bad. The house painter from San Raimundo stepped out into the unknown to help heal a community. And in a foreign country where the lines of communication were broken, he mended them. Luis Rojas is the translator.
You don't have to go far in Guatemala to find an open-air market, and what you'll see in these markets a lot of times is they're being run by the women. In this next selection, Lauren Gross is going to take us into the world of gender equality in underdeveloped countries. Here's Lauren.
¿Qué define ser hombre?
Los hombres pueden salir en el campo, en la finca, donde uno quiere, ¿verdad?
Somos campesinas, estamos apoyando el café para hacer leña y para trabajar en el monte.
Machismo.
¿Y qué define ser mujer?
No va a estudiar solamente que su trabajo es la cocina y va a tapiar en la casa y va a ver.
Mi pila. Tortillas también, tortillas todos los días.
Domesticity. It largely defines the Guatemalan woman. Maintaining the home, preparing meals, cleaning, and doing laundry is the norm for many females in Guatemala. As we explored gender equality and the progression of women, it became clear that some women do actively seek change. But changing deeply rooted cultural roles may take longer than some might hope. As one of the most dangerous Latin American countries in the world, Guatemala is especially dangerous for women. Femicide, the violent and deliberate crimes against women ranging from harassment to murder, has risen immensely within the last 2 decades. From 2001 to 2009 alone, almost 5,000 Guatemalan women were murdered in wake of the femicide phenomenon. While misogynistic crime continues to rise in Guatemala, Freddy Pos, a young husband and father, reflects on male chauvinism known as machismo.
Ha sido por culturas ya ancestrales, tradiciones, religión, donde el hombre es la cabeza de la mujer. Pero si fuese así, el hombre fuese la cabeza, la mujer debiese ser la columna vertebral que sostiene la cabeza, ¿no? Entonces creo que ambas figuras en el hogar y en la sociedad deben de preponderar ante cualquier otra situación.
With a poor economy in Guatemala, it's true that both women and men do suffer, especially the indigenous population. The Mayan largely live in rural villages and are often discriminated against by Ladinos, the non-indigenous or mestizo Guatemalans. Mayan women face the brunt of the inequalities, enduring both ethnocentrism and misogyny. On top of that, less than 30% of indigenous Guatemalan women, known as indígenas, make it to secondary school. It seems that domestic duties, in many cases, outweigh the value of a traditional education in rural Guatemala. Manuela Beatriz, a Mayan woman who makes her living by embroidering and sewing traditional Mayan dress, expressed that while men go out to work, women, from a young age, have much different roles within the family.
La niña siempre va a estar en la casa todos los días. No salen en otro lugar porque cuando se levantamos en la mañana siempre se va a dejar el nixtamal en el molino.
Despite separate gender spheres, non-domestic and domestic, family hierarchies don't always determine the place of the Guatemalan woman. And not all Guatemalan women want to work in the home or in the traditional market setting. Maria Antonella Chalcon, who has suffered abuse herself, shares that even if women do want to work outside of the home, it's become an increasingly dangerous undertaking due to organized crime.
Para ir al trabajo así la esposa a veces que va a ir a botar fruta, así, banano, no puede llevar su esposa porque hay violaciones. Hay veces que se encuentran así unos 10 hombres, como anden entre grupos, la agarran a sus mujeres del hombre y lo violan.
Furthermore, Chalcon says that while the way men dress has modernized, women who choose to wear non-traditional clothing are seen as promiscuous or as asking for trouble.
Porque de repente lo sacamos y ponemos pantalón, ya la gente dice, esa mujer ya es prostituta.
Regardless of the dangers and misnomers they face, groups of Guatemalan women are taking pride in their capabilities. The lakeside city of San Juan Atitlan is home to one of the many up-and-coming female-run co-ops in Guatemala. Casa Florixcaco, a weaving cooperative, was founded by women born and raised in San Juan. The indigenas are using their knowledge of turning cotton into thread, dyeing the thread with natural elements, weaving it, and selling it to provide scholarships and financial aid to children of their community. For these women, skills considered domestic aren't necessarily confinements to an endemic gender role. Instead, skills are empowering this group of women to use the knowledge they have to ensure a brighter, more educated future for their children. Still, femicide rates continue to grow, even after a 2008 law was passed in Guatemala deeming femicide and other forms of violence toward women punishable by law. From 2008 to 2011, an estimated 2,900 women became victims of femicidal murder. More than 600 Guatemalan women were killed in 2012. This paints a clear picture of the roles many Guatemalan women are culturally locked into, and Pos points out the obstacles they face day in, day out.
Ante muchas circunstancias, el machismo, la economía, la sociedad, la familia y muchas cosas más, entonces es de que las oportunidades siempre van a estar, ¿no? Siempre van a estar, el que tanto nos preparemos para esas oportunidades va a ser el reto, ¿verdad? Entonces creo que ya los espacios ya se están dando y pues yo como padre pues, obviamente desearía para mi hija siempre lo mejor, ¿verdad? Lo mejor y que sea alguien reconocida, preparada, profesional y obviamente que se consiga pues.
And as for Chialcon, as an advocate for the empowerment of women, she leaves us with this.
Y tanto que hombres que hay no deberían juzgar a las mujeres, porque en la mujer han venido ellos también. Sí. Porque si esta mujer no hubiera cometido adulterio con el esposo, no estuvieran los niños, ni no hubieran gentes aquí en Guatemala, pues en todos los países, porque ellos no reaccionan de que en la mujer han nacido ellos, porque todo hombre en la mujer ha nacido, sí. Pero ellos no piensan ese ver.
A world where women are marginalized is a sterile world because women don't just bear life but transmit to us the ability to see otherwise. They see things differently. They transmit to us the ability to understand the world with different eyes, to understand things with hearts that are more creative, more patient, more tender.
Our final segment takes you into the home and lives of a traditional Guatemalan family with a modern view on moving forward. Our correspondent, Esmeralda Cisneros, has the story.
There is a buried village that lies on a ridge, poverty-stricken yet poised to become a model of cultural celebration and self-sufficiency. This story takes me into the life of a modern Kichef family.
Siempre anhelamos que la juventud avanza, alcanza métodos, alcanza otros niveles en la vida y sí, mi pensamiento y mi anhelo es que la juventud alcanza niveles en la vida, alcanzan el éxito.
This is 46-year-old Velasco, the father of this innovative Kichef family, a native born in the village of Chocola and a leader standing up for higher education. As a kid, he always dreamt about having a place where he can educate others without having an education himself. In 2008, alongside with other community members, he designed a church that would soon become one of the most attended in his village. Through the church, he is able to encourage other parents to place their children in school.
Pues cuando el cambio que se hizo en la comunidad, cuando se construyó el edificio, bueno, muchos se maravillaron al ver el gran edificio bastante grande y la aldea es muy pequeña para alcanzar ese dinero para la construcción. Seguimos procesando el trabajo.
Although as a father himself, he understands the sacrifices one has to make to keep the family moving forward.
Sí, donde quiera que a mí me sale trabajo me voy.
¿Y relocaliza su familia?
Sí, dejo mi familia porque también hay que mantener la familia. La dejo aquí en Chocola.
En Chocola.
Sí, la dejo acá.
¿Y por cuándo se va por allá en otros lugares?
Depende cuando salga el trabajo.
Oh, depende cuando salga el trabajo y ya dura 3, 5 meses, un año. Walking through the streets is inspirational to see uplifted spirits, even though 75% of the country lives below the poverty line. Velasco's income estimates to around $75 per month to barely suffice a home, food, and provide an education for his 3 kids.
Digamos, me gustaría implicar acá en la comunidad proyectos, algunos proyectos donde la gente de esta aldea se mantengan trabajando, se mantengan en una función. Sí, me gustaría que los mismos padres tengan el mismo pensamiento, el mismo corazón que uno tiene hacia su familia, avanzar. Y sí, en algunas ocasiones hemos dialogado con algunos padres que den la mejor educación a los hijos para que en el futuro ellos puedan trabajar en una compañía, trabajar en una empresa.
El ratón quiere queso. Ensuring a better future for his children is not only the result of Velasco's effort to be a good role model, but also the strength of his wife, who is the heartbeat of the family. While many of us seek for over-the-counter medications when we're running on a bad cold, Dora Locan shared with us a Quiche tradition that allows her to use natural resources to relieve respiratory tract problems. Bougainvillea, an evergreen plant with vibrantly colored tracts. When her husband Velasco is gone for long periods of time, she needs to find alternatives to replace the high cost of unexpected situations. Dora finds the funds and walks on Debris to reach the village honeybee house to add to the herbal medication. The honey is then extracted from a bottle to measure the amount needed to make the substantial remedy.
Ahora ya otra tos que ya tiene infección y todo, entonces como desliza y desinflama la infección que hay en la garganta.
A handful of cinnamon sticks are added. Flowers are rinsed and boiled with water, having the 2 simmer for a few minutes on a low flame. The aroma instantly filled the air. You can start to see a pretty crimson color, and while the remedy continues to boil, Dora adds a touch of honey for flavor. Once the solution has cooled, she strains it into a plastic pitcher and pours it into a medicinal glass. The cost of this herbal medicine roughly comes around to $2, replacing a $25 prescribed medication. I couldn't resist the temptation to try Dora's medicine and understand why it is considered to be a very popular Guatemalan home remedy. We now turn our camera to Kayla Xiomara, one of the youngest teachers at rural Mixtal Socorro. At only 20, she has already defeated obstacles and has become the future of this family. Every day, Kayla travels the rugged southern Mayan side of Chocola, teaching children the importance of education. For 30 minutes, she takes a bus ride that costs her daily wage of $2. But regardless, she has a bigger purpose. We arrived to a rural elementary school in the outskirts of Chocola. Geographically isolated, the school is covered in paved dirt, the building and walls made from concrete, and every door made out of steel is closed with locks. Kayla invests her time with the children because of passion and vision. Her thoughts are that with the right tools and resources, it can create lasting change for generations.
Mis papás me han enseñado valores, a trabajar y ahí sí que a ser una buena persona. Me importa educar a los niños, me gusta estar con ellos y no me importa cuánto me paguen, si pierda o gane. Es cierto, el dinero sirve porque sirve para otras necesidades, pero me gusta, mi trabajo es enseñar y eso es lo que me gusta desde pequeña enseñar. Mi motivación es lo que tengo trazado, una meta. Sé que lo voy a lograr, entonces no me importa cualquier obstáculo que yo pase. Yo sé que aunque esté sufriendo, aunque me cueste, esté feliz o no, yo sé que voy a llegar a esa meta. Y eso es lo que a mí me motiva, que algún día voy a ser alguien. La verdad, en mi familia soy la primera que yo me he graduado, que tengo una carrera. Entonces, mis papás siempre me dijeron que tú tienes que ser alguien en la vida, tienes que trabajar y ver las cosas por ti mismo.
Kayla has overcome challenges to become a true architect of change in her community, ensuring that children in Chocola will have the education they need to build better lives and a more durable future.
We hope you've enjoyed these stories of the people of Guatemala, and there are more. Check out our website for vibrant photos, moving multimedia pieces, and touching narratives. I'm Brent Foster, and this is Guatemala.
Coffee for many in the U.S. is a morning ritual, but for the people of Guatemala, coffee isn't just a morning delight. For some, it's a business that can make or break a family. And 60-year-old Guadalupe Hernandez of Chocola Guatemala knows the harsh realities of the business.
Claro que esto es profesión, pero es una profesión que uno sufre mucho. Ver, ahí lleva uno lluvias, mojadas, sol, uno se hunde en los cafetales, en los terrenos, los carros, ahí estamos bajo el carro, enlodado. No, eso no es profesión, pero una profesión muy pesada, ¿va? No es como
Despite the difficulties, Hernandez wakes up with the sun each morning for 3 reasons. 18-year-old Lupe, 14-year-old Estefania, and 4-year-old Berenice. The idea that his children can become professionals motivates Hernandez to yield successful coffee crops out of seedlings like these, something that takes hard work, dedication, a few natural fertilizers, and of course, land. Behind me you see land owned by the Hernandez family, a rarity here in Chocola. This is where Guadalupe Hernandez grows coffee, his #1 source of income throughout the year. And that's only half of the story. The second half of the story is up the embankment from the Hernandez's humble coffee plantation, through an empty field, and across a dirt road through the occasional pack of neighborhood dogs, the Hernandez home, where Guadalupe's wife, Sandra Hernandez, runs a business of her own selling bananas.
Ahorita no está quedando mucho porque no hay mucha fruta. O sea, tal vez no se gana más, o a veces sí se gana más porque en el negocio a veces hay y a veces que no hay.
And because the at-home business doesn't always provide a steady income, the 36-year-old mother doesn't just sell bananas. Aside from taking care of the home and her 3 children, she also sells ginger, corn, cacao, whatever's in season. The supplemental business has allowed all 3 children to attend school, something not all Guatemalan children are able to do. But supporting a family off an agricultural business isn't always easy. The family especially suffered in 1998 during the time of Hurricane Mitch.
Nos quedamos durmiendo en la carretera junto con mi esposa. Esta mi niña era chiquita, como de 2 años, yo creo. No recuerdo bien qué época pasó, en qué año fue. Pero sí tuvimos una gran pérdida.
Knowing this, 18-year-old Lupe hopes to help his parents with a professional income.
Y ahí andan luchando por nosotros. Y yo ya no quiero que anden luchando, ya quiero luchar yo por ellos, porque ya lucharon por mí.
And so far, the family's struggles have paid off. Lupe recently graduated automotive school, Estefania plans to become a nurse, and Berenice?
Mami, ¿y yo? Usted quiere ser bombera.
No, she might just become a nurse too. All thanks to her parents' hard work driven by visions of better futures for their children. Reporting from Chocola, Guatemala, I'm Lauren Gross.
Guatemala is one of the poorest countries in the world. There is a thick line between the wealthy and those so stricken with poverty that some have to do the unimaginable just to survive. ¿Cómo está la situación económica para usted?
Para mí está muy bajo ahorita, porque no hay negocio. Sí.
Some people in the U.S. hear these stories of poverty and look to the internet and search how to help people in Guatemala. Page after page, websites offer a chance to volunteer. One of those is a link to Refuge International. The Texas-based organization plans about 12 trips a year. They work to provide clinics with U.S.-trained medical teams for a week and have gone into the jungles near the Honduras border to establish a clinic and clean drinkable tap water in Sarsoon. The organization depends on the work of their volunteers. Most have never met before their arrival in Guatemala City.
And where's Abraham?
While others get reacquainted with familiar faces and signs of poverty surround them. They'll continue their travels on a long road before they reach their final destination. On the March mission to Chocola, volunteers were told that the bus ride could take 2 to 8 hours, depending on the road conditions. Volunteers registered and paid for this opportunity to help people, and on the first day, after traveling by air and by land, with the unpredictability of electricity in an underdeveloped village, they had to work together to unpack and sort medical supplies before calling it a day.
What is it? Is it A7 or C3? C6.
S16.
Okay. That can go right along here.
Okay.
Volunteers were split up into teams.
And who's going to scrub on the other one? Okay.
And everyone depends on someone to lend a hand or their skills. There are 23 recognized dialects in Guatemala, and Manuela is speaking Quiche. And translating in Spanish to volunteer Luis Rojas, who translated Spanish to English in the medical consultations with Dr. Scott Lawrence.
He was on treatment and just gone and then...
He came back?
Yes.
Okay. So when did this first start? When did she first start having problems with her stomach?
The two paired together to help the doctor understand what the patient needed to communicate to the doctor and what the doctor needed to communicate back to the patient. It's the knowledge and compassion that Refuge International volunteers have for the people that makes for successful missions.
Él me está educando para yo educar a la gente. Tratamos de que no se vayan solo con medicina, sino que con un poco de educación también, qué es lo que les está pasando en su vida para que se recuperen pronto y que se cuiden también.
This trip into Chocola marked the first time that an ultrasound machine was used. It allowed ultrasound technician Shayna Panlin to use her expertise, although still limited compared to the advanced features back home.
For a baby, it'd be nice that I could see that they have a 3-vessel umbilical cord. Like, the color would be nice for that and make sure they have the proper amount of arteries and veins.
The ultrasound machine was also used to prep patients before surgery for better pain management after surgery. Anesthesiologist Brian Kinder teamed up with Shayna to prepare during pre-op by window light.
Ultrasound has really been helpful for anesthesia because with probably 90% of the patients we've done this week so far, we've been able to do peripheral nerve blocks. And we've had almost no nausea because they get very little narcotics.
The people that receive their service embrace the technology of modern medicine that the organization brings to them.
Dios le ha dado a cada uno inteligencia cómo desarrollarse, su capacidad hasta dónde, y es hasta ahí donde la ciencia va elevando más. Y por esa razón nosotros buscamos lo que es la ciencia, un médico.
The availability of electricity was a challenge in an environment like Chocola's. But with some creativity, the volunteers managed to find a way together.
It's not one thing, it's another.
Quick thinking by CRNA Paul McCarricker allowed surgeon Ken Evelyn to see a little better until the power came back during the gallbladder surgery.
The bulb went out in the big light, the surgical light, so just had to improvise a little bit. I got my flashlight out of my pocket and reached over the drape and just held it over his field while he worked for a while.
Refuge International's medical missions have helped people in Guatemala for over a decade, and they have had their share of obstacles over the years. It is impossible to tell which skills will be available for every trip. Each mission has a unique blend of challenges and people working together in a foreign environment to help patients they may never get a chance to see ever again. Their volunteers come from all across the United States and become a team for 1 week in Guatemala.
But amongst all the noise, there are a handful of faces that can be found amongst the crowds that are key to making what many call the most spectacular part of the celebration a reality.
La comisión inicia desde noviembre, comienza a hacer preparativos, se comienza a estudiar qué necesita cada paso, cada escena, y ya trabajo fuerte se comienza a realizar desde principios de enero.
Volunteers from Hermandad de la Escuela de Cristo work throughout the day to organize processions that consist of big floats, or better known as andas, bearing statues of Christ. The images that are safeguarded in this place are developed in fiberglass and placed on a base of solid wood.
For 30 years, the Brothers of Christ have gathered here in the center of Santa Catalina to construct these figurines of Christ for Semana Santa. As you can see right behind me, they're continuing this legacy through their younger generation.
La mayoría de veces venimos con los compañeros y disfrutamos de lo bello de las velaciones y procesiones.
Visitors donate funds to keep the cultural tradition alive during the processions.
Es como un privilegio poder tenerlo porque para todos los antigüeños significa mucho la pasión y muerte de nuestro Señor. Entonces es algo bien lindo de poder estar y poderlo ver en nuestro país, ¿verdad?
This year's theme has a combination of elements from Holy Week in Spain and characteristics of the Antiguan Easter. The beauty and creativity of visions come alive during Holy Week, and it's thanks to those that stand behind the scenes. Reporting from Antigua, Guatemala, I'm Esmeralda Cisneros.
Hello and welcome to our first episode of Backyard Sessions here in Chocola, Guatemala. Very excited for our guests tonight. We have some big names on the list. ¿Cómo te llamas? Mucho gusto. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Wilson.
Me llamo Pollo Loco. ¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes?
13.
¿Cuántos años tienes?
10.
Tengo 100 años. Primero cantar. Hello, my name is Luke. Luke, bailar? Bailar? Dance? Dance? Okay. Okay. Wow! Wow! Más café. Más café. ¿Te gusta café? Sí. Caliente. Gracias, Carolita. Bonito. Sí. Mucho gras. Thank you for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Backyard Sessions in Chocola, Guatemala.